Finding yourself bored and numb? Well, no worries, cause now you can get the all new Ing Pods. So now you can listen to math on the go or on the road. So why stall? Get the all new Ing Pods today.
Alright, good afternoon class. This is Mr. Ivan and I'm going to be doing the review for Monday's quiz on polynomials. This is for version Blueberry. So, first things first, you get points just by writing your name and your period. And here is the first question is on Kenkins. So, the thing I want to mention is that sometimes they give you free points when you see a number of boxes just by itself. So in this case, I think I only see one just by itself. So we gotta somehow find out numbers to fill these in. So keep in mind it's a 4x4, so my only options are 1, 2, 3, and 4. No repetitions. So let's go ahead and maybe write down 3 and 4. I can probably swap those two, but we'll just keep them like that for now. Write down 2, that means this has to be a 3. If that's the case, I can write down maybe 1 and 4. Again, I can probably swap those eventually, but I'll keep them as like that for now. And let me see what else I can write down. Maybe I can write down 4 and 3, so that means this has to be a 2 and 1. So that means this has to be a 3, which means that I have to have a combination of 1 and 2. And then lastly, this has to be a 4 and 2. So let me write down, I can't have 4 and 2 here, so I have to improvise. So maybe I can write down, I can erase this 2 and 1, and write down 1 and 2, and therefore I can probably put 2 and 4. And the reason why I did that is so I can avoid repetitions and still have numbers that add up to what it's asking for. So now I'm just double checking and write down everything correctly, no repetitions, everything adds up to the number, and I think I might be good. So in that case, let's move on to the next one. So the next question we have, they're asking you to identify the graph that has an odd degree and a negative leading coefficient. So remember, odd degrees have opposite end behaviors. So it's either going to end up like this, right? 1 up, 1 down, starting from the left hand side, or starting down and you end up way up on the right hand side. So, but because my leading coefficient is negative, I know that I have to choose this one because I start way up on the left hand side, but eventually I crash down. So I have to find one that matches this behavior, and the only one that I can see is A. Right? I start way up here and eventually I crash down. I'm not interested in anything that happens in between. I'm only interested in the end behaviors. So A is my answer. Okay, moving on to the next one. I have to match the wording that goes inside here. So they're interested in something absolute, some kind of number, absolute. So the two vocabularies that I can think of are absolute max and absolute min. So how many absolute max and absolute mins do I have? There's only one. So I can see that I have an absolute max up here and I have an absolute min down here. But there's only one of each. So in reality, there could have been two answers. You could have chosen one absolute max, or you could have chose one absolute min. I give you credit if you chose one of those two combinations. So this one had to be A, and the other two options could have been either D or had to be F or A and D, those two combinations. Okay, moving on to the next one. So they're asking you whether or not it's a polynomial or not a polynomial. So the reason why it's not a polynomial is because you have to look at the degrees, the exponents. Notice that in the first term, it's a negative exponent. polynomials do not have negative exponents. So whenever an exponent is negative or fraction, then we know that it's not a polynomial. So polynomials must have positive whole numbers. So your exponents have to have positive whole numbers as your exponents. I have a -5, so this is not a polynomial. Okay, moving on. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. I forgot to mention the directions here. The directions say that you have to choose 2 out of the 3. So as long as you chose 2 of these 3 problems, you did not have to choose all 3 problems. So I had to, unfortunately, take away 1 point for those of you who attempted all 3 problems. So moving on to the next question, we have to determine whether this function is odd or even algebraically. So this is actually something that we covered last semester. So the first thing I want to do is I want to write down my original function, and then we multiply the original function by a negative. So everything turns negative, or actually just switches signs. So now that I have both cases, I want to keep track of who was here. So this is my original, and this is the one with the different sign. Okay. So now that I have both, I can go ahead and test. But keep in mind that I'm testing the original. I'm testing the original, not the one that I changed the sign. So when I test, I'm going to plug in a negative x inside it. So anywhere that you saw an x is now turning to a negative x. So now that I plug it in, I want to figure out what this becomes. Anytime you raise a negative number to an even number, it turns positive. So my exponent is 4, which is even, so it becomes a positive x to the 4th power. So now I determined that f of negative x is x to the 4th plus 1, and I'm trying to figure out which one it matches. And it looks like it matches the original. So it matches the original, so whenever that happens, we know that our function is even. Okay, moving on to the next one. Again, same case is going on here. We only want to choose one of these 2 problems, but I'm going to show you both of them. So we have to somehow graph this given our descriptions. So it says here that as x approaches infinity, my y goes up. So when you read this, you say x is going this way, and eventually my y goes up. So as x approaches to the right hand side, my y goes up. As x approaches negative infinity, what happens to my y? My y goes also up. So as x approaches left hand side, my y eventually goes up. So now I have both end behaviors written down. I gotta still somehow figure out what's happening in the middle. So now I gotta continue reading. It says that I have a y-intercept at 1. So y-intercept at 1 would be over here. And it also says that I only have one relative extrema and 0 x-intercepts. So if I have 0 x-intercepts, that means it's never going to touch this line. It does not touch this line. So I can go ahead and graph this. And the reason why I only do one turn is the last piece of information. It says only one turn, one relative extrema. So this is my graph. Okay, moving on to the last one. I'm trying to figure out which one of these 3 matches my graph. So let's figure out what we have here. So if you notice, my end behaviors are different, right? My end behaviors are different. So whenever my end behaviors are different, I know that I have an odd function. So that thing, I know I have an odd exponent. I also know that my end behavior, my leading coefficient has to be negative because I start on the left hand side way up here, and eventually as I move to the right hand side, I crash down. So I know that my leading coefficient is negative. So which one of these has a negative leading coefficient? And these two have negative leading coefficients. So now I gotta figure out which one of those two is my answer. So I automatically know that this is not my answer. Okay. The next piece of information I want to use is the fact that I have two terms. And if you remember, we can actually use the fundamental theorem of algebra that says that the number of terms equals degree minus 1. So if the number of terms is 2, I can substitute this as 2 equals d minus 1. Add both sides by 1, I get 3 equals my degree. So if my degree is 3, I gotta figure out which one of these is my answer. I know that this has to be my answer, and this is not. The reason is because if you notice, I have 1, 2, 3 x's. When you multiply them out, it gives you degree 3. Okay. Now, when you go down here, you have to give an explanation and for why you chose the one that you chose, and also give a good explanation for why you didn't choose the others. So I wrote down that I chose this one because the leading coefficient is negative and my degree is 3. And I eliminated this one because the leading coefficient is positive. And lastly, I eliminated the last one because the degree is 4. So hopefully you guys were able to give a good explanation. Only 2 pieces of information was needed for the middle one, and this one piece of information was good enough to explain why you did not choose the first and the last. So hopefully you guys got some sort of understanding of some clarification on this quiz, and I'll see you guys in class. Bye.
Okay, look, I'm honest. Math, I can't lie, I missed you. You and the numbers were the only things that I commit to. I never cheated on the final back when I was with you. But you believed in everything, but in it, I don't kid you. Ink says I know you changed. I never